What's going on, guys? I'm back here with another sports podcast. The show doesn't have a name yet, but we're going to get one soon because this is going to become a regular show. But there's no schedule set either. Still a very big work in progress. But last Monday, we talked about the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 and the rest of March Madness. Today, we're going to talk about the NBA because during the month of March, the NBA kind of gets shut out because of March Madness, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA that we need to talk about because the playoffs are coming up in about 3 weeks. So, a lot of teams are pushing for the playoffs, and there's a lot of parity in the league this year. That people complain about there being no parity in the NBA. This year, there's a lot of parity. Okay? Guess what? Golden State and Cleveland, the teams from the last 3 finals, are not even the 1 seeds in either one of their conferences. In the West, Houston Rockets are number 1, adding Chris Paul last offseason, owing 57-14. Golden State Warriors are 4 games back, but that's probably because of their injuries they've had. All 4 of their All-Stars are currently injured right now. But they're all minor injuries, and the Warriors are not seeming to panic about it, but with the playoffs coming in 3 weeks, they should be panicking to get everybody back on the court and healthy and 100% for the playoffs, because they have high expectations to repeat again this year. So, Houston and Golden State seem to be on a collision course in the West, but there's a lot of dark horse teams that could take one of them out in the first or second rounds. But a lot of people are assuming, it's going to be Golden State versus Houston in the West Finals. And that would be a very good matchup for a West Final series. It'd be 7 games, most likely. Houston looks to be the better team, but they've won, what have they won? 24 of the last 25 games. And they've only lost 2 games when James Harden, Chris Paul, and Clint Capella are all healthy. So, we learned 2 years ago from the 73-9 Golden State Warriors that pushing really hard in the regular season does not pay off in the playoffs. It could be a different story because this is a different team. But if we're going off history, the Houston Rockets are not going to make the finals. They'll lose to the Golden State Warriors if the Warriors are 100% healthy. Because Quinn Cook cannot carry the Warriors in the playoffs. Portland Trailblazers are sitting at number 3, coming off a big 14-game win streak that just ended last night to the Houston Rockets. Portland is a team that needs one more player to be able to beat Golden State or Houston. So I don't think they could beat Golden State or Houston, and I think maybe they could lose to the 6th seed in the first round, San Antonio, who are going to have Kawhi Leonard healthy again. And the 4th seed is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the Thunder are an odd team this year in the NBA. They've been really inconsistent, but since December, they've been on a 55-win pace, and that is pretty good. They could easily take out Houston in the second round, but the chances of that is what team are we going to see? It all depends on the chemistry between the team. They lost Andre Robertson earlier, a few months ago. That hurt the team a lot. Russell Westbrook is 12 rebounds away. If he averages 12 rebounds for the rest of the year, he'll average a triple-double again, and he's nowhere in the MVP conversation. Carmelo Anthony has had a bad year shooting. Paul George has played some excellent defense, and he's probably the best two-way player in the NBA right now. So, they could take out Houston in the second round. They'd have to get by New Orleans in the first round, and that might be difficult, but DeMarcus Cousins has that torn Achilles tendon, and they might get by them in about 5 games. Now, we already talked about New Orleans and San Antonio, so let's get to the 7 and 8 seeds, Minnesota and Utah. Utah is one of the hottest teams right now. They've been the hottest team for the last 2 months. After starting the year like 19 and 30, they're 40 and 31 now. They're the 8th seed, and they could give Houston some troubles in the first round, but I do not expect them to lose. Minnesota has Jimmy Butler injured right now, and even if Jimmy Butler's healthy, I could not see them getting past Golden State in a 7-game series. So Golden State and Houston probably are on a collision course in the Western Conference Finals, and we should be excited for it because that's going to be awesome. Now, the Eastern Conference is a lot harder to predict because of the amount of parity there. The biggest story in the Eastern Conference right now would be the Cleveland Cavaliers, of course. I mean, when are they not when they have LeBron James? Now, LeBron is being rumored to leave Cleveland and go to Lakers, Rockets, 76ers, somewhere in the offseason. But we're not going to focus on that right now because he could win a championship right now with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And if he does, he's probably going to stay in Cleveland. But the Cavs are only a 3 seed, which is surprising. Boston Celtics and Toronto Raptors are ahead of them. The Raptors are known for choking in the playoffs. They have playoff struggles, but they are a lot like the 2011 Dallas Mavericks, who could come out of nowhere to win the NBA championship. Boston Celtics just traded for Kyrie Irving in the offseason, and they look better. Gordon Hayward broke his leg in the very first game of the season, and there's rumors flying that he could be healthy in time for the playoffs. So, the big question is, could one of those teams take out the Cavs? I say maybe, because it all depends on if the dominoes fall in the right direction. That's what it's going to come down to. Indiana could even pass Cleveland for the 3 seed. They're only a half game back right now. The Washington Wizards have John Wall out still, and if he's back, they could be a dangerous team for Toronto in the second round. Philadelphia, trust the process. I don't see them getting past Cleveland in the first round. If the standings stay like this, and they're not, they're going to change for sure. Miami Heat and Milwaukee Bucks, neither of them are going to go far in the playoffs. Now, the injuries in the NBA right now have been ridiculous. The Cleveland Cavaliers have a few injuries. The Boston Celtics have Kyrie Irving out, but there's no structural damage on his knee, so that's good news for the Celtics. The Washington Wizards have John Wall out. The Philadelphia 76ers have Markelle Fultz out, but he hasn't been a great player even if he was healthy. Golden State Warriors, of course, have all 4 of their All-Stars injured. New Orleans lost DeMarcus Cousins for the season. Kawhi Leonard could be back this season. I'm guessing he will, and they're going to be dangerous for one of the higher-seeded teams in the playoffs. Minnesota Timberwolves do not have Jimmy Butler right now, and if he's healthy for the playoffs, they could be a dangerous low-seeded team. So the NBA has a lot of parity this year, but a lot of people are assuming it's going to be Warriors-Cavs, and it could very well end up being Warriors and Cavs. But unlike last year, this year has a lot more teams that could take either one of those teams out. So, the NBA playoffs, the last few weeks of this regular season, should be something that you should be watching because it's exciting this year. The resting players I don't know if that's going to happen again. It hasn't started happening. There's just been injuries. And with injuries, I see players getting more playing time at the end of the season. The West has a lot of teams out of the playoffs that could easily get in, like the Clippers and the Nuggets. So, and if you really look at the 4 through 8 seeds in the West, that could change. Utah could end up with the 4 seed, and Oklahoma City could end up with an 8 seed. There's a lot that could happen in these last 3 weeks of the NBA season, and it should be something to look forward to, because these playoffs are going to be a lot better than last year. It's not going to be the blowouts. So, that's going to conclude the show for today. And the next show, we're going to be previewing baseball, talking about the next show is going to be Friday. So we'll be talking about tomorrow's Sweet 16 games and the Elite 8 games on Saturday from the winners of Thursday games and previews of Friday's March Madness games. So that's going to do it. Thank you everyone for listening, and see you all next time.